Well, welcome along to the Sporting Life Timeform preview of the Kipco 2000 Guineas. David Orr, joined by Matt Brocklebank and Kevin Clark to get stuck in. One of our old shows there, coming back in the autumn, would get stuck into the classic action. Let's start by getting the Timeform ratings up for the first Colt Classic. Kevin, Aidan O'Brien horse tops the ratings on Timeform, but it's not the Colt who's topping the market. Yeah,
you'll see there, Little Big Bear top rated, adjusted rating of 138. That obviously comes from his impressive victory in the Phoenix on his final start at 2 years. Auguste Rodin, is that the correct pronunciation?
Sculpture fans will be nodding in agreement.
He's obviously got the P, denoting further improvement to come. He did nothing wrong at 2 years, including when winning at Doncaster. And then you've got the likes of Noble Style and Sakira a bit further down. They both have the P, but they have to prove their stamina. They've come from 6 furlongs up to a mile. And then you've got the duos forming Chaldine and Royal Scotsman. So we've got plenty to get stuck into. It's a bit of a tricky puzzle, but the right man next to me to find one at a price, hopefully.
Matt, we need to start with Auguste Rodin. Yep. He's shortened up, he's 7-4, top price, I think, in the we're recording at Friday lunchtime. Here he is. This isn't the Vertem Futurity, the race which catapulted him to favouritism, but this was part of his education, part of the process. You're against him, though, for the 2000 Guineas. Why?
I think Graham Cunningham summed it up quite well in midweek when I was trying to sort of talk around the houses a little bit, and ultimately I'm against him on price. I do think he's too short. I think I'd probably be looking to take him on if he was around 5-2, maybe even 11-4. So at current prices, I have to be looking elsewhere. Look, he's a smashing colt. He's bred to be a champion 3-year-old, and chances are he's going to turn out to win some very, very big races. Could well win classics. Can he win all 3? That's probably the big question, because he was beaten first time out last year. And look, he improved seemingly for the stamina tests towards the end of last season into the autumn. Not just the move up from 7 furlongs to a mile, but also soft ground, obviously accentuating that emphasis on stamina. He was brilliant at Doncaster, he really was. He beat a deep field there. Epictetus has already come out and won the Epsom Trial this spring. I think the Doncaster race obviously has huge impact when it comes to classics, but I just think if you're looking at this race now, there are so many facets in terms of potential real speed demons in here, potentially top class sprinters that he's going to be facing over good to firm ground on the Rolling Mile, and potentially a couple of brilliant milers. So he has to do it in this race first. It's his biggest challenge, and I think he's too short for this race.
Segues us into Little Big Bear here on top of the Timeform ratings. If there's Triple Crown aspirations for Auguste Rodin, potential champion sprinter for this horse. But this is him winning the Phoenix Eggs. This is a landmark performance in his career so far. Best of date. It was his last one. He had a foot injury after this. There's bits of the pedigree on the dam side in particular that suggest a mile might not be beyond him.
Yeah, definitely. I was just saying off air, I remember back in the dam to watch you in the Melrose at York. She was a real strong steer of Venture Seeker, but he's by no nay never, so obviously he's got a real mixed pedigree. But you see here, his weapon is that turn of foot. He's absolutely smashed up Persian Force and Bradsell, who wasn't right on the day. He made an encouraging comeback the other day. If he's anything like in this form, he's going to take a lot of beating, isn't he? When you see there the way he's really quick and clear. Now the mile is just a little bit of a worry. Not many no-nay-nevers do stay a mile, but if he's going to get it, it's probably going to be on the Rolling Mile downhill and then a little bit of an uphill finish.
We're short on clues this spring, aren't we? And I think
that was it. Yeah.
But the thing that we have got is a market, and the Ballydoyle, Gallup, Work Watchers, or whatever the vibes are coming out of there, and they're putting him now as a clear second string. Interesting comments on site on Ryan Moore in his Betfair column for you to check out. We've got the pace map for the 2000 Guineas. Matt, it's probably not ideal for Aidan and the lads in that they're drawn, well, they're drawn together, aren't they? They're both drawn high. How do you see that playing out? Are we going to be seeing 2 groups in the 2000 Guineas? Is it going to be an arrowhead formation down the middle? How's it going to be run?
$1,000,000 question, Dave. We don't really know how it's going to be run. When we've had the evidence of Friday's action, hopefully we might be a little bit clearer. We've seen it before where they're changing sides and darting around. The stalls are technically in the centre. Obviously, when things open up after a few furlongs, I can certainly see Frankie Dettori looking to... Look, he's drawn 3. He's a prominent racer. He's going to be heading towards the far side, I suspect. We are sort of educated guesswork, isn't it? Little Big Bear likes to be on the speed. Is he going to come and dart for the stand-side rail? We've seen it with, I think it was Magna Grecia a few years ago, where he just grabbed the rail and away they went. And Churchill, was that a similar story that year?
Yeah, that was when they had the cutaway on the rail.
Yeah, that's true. So it's educated guesswork. I think we might end up with them spread across the track at the finish line. Quite how they get there, I'm not totally sure, but yeah.
There's only 14 runners as opposed to 20 in the 1,000.
It's not a massive
I think
field,
they're just going to go in one group.
I mean, Hawkwing Rock of Gibraltar is the most famous split of all of the O'Brien horses in the Guineas. Let's talk Chaldean, as we have to call him now. That's contractual. This is him winning the Dewhurst. Now, we know he's going to go forward. Now, there's plenty of people, Jim Crowley included, who think he can reverse form aboard the second, Royal Scotsman. How do you see the Dewhurst pair?
No, Chaldean will uphold this form. Royal Scotsman's a real negative for me would be the fact he trains on. He's not very big. Neither's Chaldean, but he's a real strong type Chaldean. He's probably filled out, whereas Royal Scotsman just looks a ready-made 2-year-old to me. And you see here, he really sticks his neck out. He only just holds on. I don't think the mile will be any problem. This form's actually worked out okay. Aesop's Fables came out and franked the form. A lot of people say the Guineas is like the final 2-year-old race, really, because it comes so early in their development. Now, there's nothing wrong with his form. He smashed up Indestructible twice at Doncaster and again in the Ayrsham before that. And I think he's got a very, very good chance, Chaldean. I think if he'd have ran well at Newbury, he probably wouldn't be 7-1 that you can get. He'd probably be 9-2 5s. And yes, it was a negative. Frankie unfortunately fell off him at the start last time, but at least he had some kind of a run. He ran all the way to the line, didn't he? And
honestly, they've become the norm. Riderless racecourse gallops at Cheltenham. You've heard it first. Nick Henderson will be hot on to the heels of that. He's got experience of the dip at Newmarket, which is in his favour. I want to talk about Sakhir now, Matt. Roger Varian. Roger himself admits he's completely in the dark as to whether this colt's going to get a mile. Again, on the damn side, there's reasons for some cautious optimism. I don't know. It's all about gut feeling, visual sense with these horses right now. He looked a Group 1 colt in the making this day, anyway, the Mill Reef.
He did. And he's probably beaten like sprinters here, hasn't he? And he looks like a top-notch sprinter to me. It's refreshing, isn't it? Obviously, Roger Varian saying he is in the dark, because we're all a little bit in the dark. I mean, he's an imposing big 2-year-old here. Look, he's kind of dwarfing the rest of the field and shows a brilliant turn of foot. I'm not shocked at all. He's one of the favourites for the Commonwealth Cup. It is a big jump, isn't it? At least with some of those horses in the Dewhurst. Obviously, we've seen at 7 furlongs and the way that they've finished their races over the stiff 7 furlongs there. This is 6 to a mile. It's a bit too much of a stretch, and he's priced about right.
I don't think he'll stay. The time figure for that Mill Reef was £43 below the rating. It was a real sprint. He's a lovely big sort, but yeah, I think he's a sprinter. I don't think he's a miler. Let's
talk about the Godolphin pair. We've got Silver Knot video footage. This is him winning the Autumn Stakes at Newmarket. He wasn't supposed to be William Buick's ride. He was on Noble Style in a racecourse gallop on a rolling mile. James Doyle on Silver Knot. They flipped because of how the two worked. Kieran Clark, if I'm giving you the job as Charlie Appleby's stable jockey, which one are you riding?
Probably Noble Style. I know James Doyle said that he doesn't do anything particularly quickly at home, but it's what they do on the racecourse that matters. Silver Knot's got very good form, hasn't he? You see him here, Epictetus is a form clue again. He beats him in the Autumn Stakes before going on to finish. He just got chinned, didn't he, in the Breeders' Cup. I just doubt he has the class for a Guineas. At least in Noble Style, he's won the Gimcrack. He's another one going into the unknown, but he is by Kingman. Eartha Kitt was a sprinter though, wasn't she? I think she was Tom Dascombe's.
She was, wasn't she?
I just have a doubt about a mile about Noble Style, but at least there's a chance he could improve still, potentially, if he does get it. Whereas Silver Knot seems to have levelled out his form at the end of last season. Yes, it's very good. I just think it's a notch below top class, if you know what I mean.
Selection time. Matt Brocklebank, the bet in the Kipco 2,000 Guineas. What are you going to raise a pint of Kipco to on?
Yeah, a pint of Kipco. Well, I started looking at this race at the start of April, and I couldn't at that stage nail my colours to any particular mast in the Antipost preview. Midweek I was warming to Silver Knot, and the more I thought about it really in terms of that horse is that if you're going to take on Auguste Rodin, I think Silver Knot might be another 10 furlong, slightly slower horse. So to take on Auguste Rodin, you're going to have a really top-class miler. I think there are a couple in here. Chaldean, and Royal Scotsman. At the prices, I prefer Royal Scotsman. I think he's really, really solid to run his race. I didn't like Chaldean's prep run. Obviously, you just can't take any positives out of that. I'm finding it really hard that some people are twisting that into some sort of positive. That was a bad experience for me. And Royal Scotsman, he was ridden to get the trip in the Duos, and in the end, he got it very, very well. Chaldean got first run, had the advantage of the rail. I think you can mark the Royal Scotsman's run up appreciably, not only because of that tactics on the day, but the fact that he'd you said he didn't look great at York. Well, he was suffering. He was under the weather. He had a dirty scope that day, and then to come back in the Duos after 50 days off after being ill, it was a massive effort. And I think I like the fact that they've resisted the trials with this horse. He'll be trained to the minute for this, whereas some of the other horses, like I say, the 10 furlong horses or Auguste Rodin training for the Derby, they're hoping to get away with it, aren't they, with the favourite. I think this horse, this will be his Guineas and his Derby rolled into one. I fancy him to run really, really well. I think at 9 to 1, he's a cracking each way bet.
Well, Scotsman, each way for Matt. Kevin, you've got 30 seconds.
Chaldean beats Little Big Bear and back Auguste Rodin for the Derby now, because he'll be even money after this when he runs a nice prep into third off.
Good goodness, he only needed 15. Absolutely perfect. Thank you to Matt and Kevin for their thoughts there on the first Coles Classic. So much to look forward to. Don't forget to check out our YouTube channel too for our thoughts on the Kipco 1000 Guineas.